Hey YouTube, welcome back to Shots Life. So today we have a 5 horsepower 4-cycle Briggs & Stratton outboard engine, and I believe this has been sitting for about 3 years and hasn't been started. The guy bought a boat and this came on it, and he was really only interested in a boat to go on lakes with a trolling motor only requirement, and took this off and set it in the backyard, and it's been sitting there ever since. And we were talking about it, and he said you're more than welcome to it if you think you can get it running and you'll use it. So we're going to take the free boat motor and see if we can get it running.
Welcome to my life.
Before I try to start it, I'm going to do the normal small engine tune-up things. I'm going to take the carburetor off and clean it. I'm going to change the oil, and I'm going to pressure wash it so none of the sand and dirt gets inside. When I take the spark plug or the carburetor off, I'll take the plug out and I'll clean the plug. So let's get started and pressure wash it. So now that I have that off, it's still pretty dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and spray it down. Also, it was missing a couple screws to hold that cover on, so we'll see if we can fix that when we put it back together. So after getting it cleaned up, the oil looks really clean, and the lines, the fuel lines don't look too bad. The vacuum lines don't look too bad, and it would probably start and run just like it is now. But when I brought it home, I did notice it was leaking water out of the exhaust. So before I pull the plug, I'm just going to turn it over slowly and see if it has any compression. It's got a ton of water in it, so we're going to take the plug out and take the carb off and see if we can get it cleaned out. Doesn't look good. The end of the plug's rusted. I'll probably try to clean this plug with a wire brush, and then I'll check the gap before I put it back in. So I believe this is a vacuum controlled fuel pump. Okay, so we got the carburetor off, and that doesn't look too bad. We got the plug out, so I'm going to pull it over again. We'll pull it over again to see if it's still shooting out water. No surprise there that it is full of junk. So I'm going to take some carburetor cleaner and start spraying all this stuff and see if I can get it cleaned up. Okay, so fuel seems to be moving through all the places it's supposed to move through. The jets and the vacuum lines are cleaned out, and everything in the carburetor's moving, the choke's moving, the throttle's moving. So we're gonna go ahead and put it back together. I didn't buy any new gaskets or anything for this because I don't even know if it's gonna run, so we're just gonna put it back together the way that it was. And if we get it started and running, if it needs a rebuild kit, I'll order one. Alright, next we're going to work on this spark plug. It's got rust in it, so we'll clean it up and then we'll see if it's gapped right. So I just used some parts cleaner to clean that dust out after I got done. And everything I looked up on the internet said this needs to be gapped to 30 thousandths. And it's at about 40 right now. So let's see if it throws a spark. So I didn't get a spark with a spark plug, so I'm going to try with a screwdriver grounded to the engine before I start tearing into it. Alright, so I couldn't get a spark to jump, but I can feel a very weak one if I touch the screwdriver and pull the engine over. So we're going to pull the cover off and find out why. Okay, since I had to take the dipstick and the fill tube off to take the cover off, I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil. So after getting the oil out, it does look pretty dirty, and you can see some sludge in it, but it doesn't look like it has any water or gas in it, so that's good. Alright, so we're probably getting a weak spark because this is all rusty, so we'll clean it up with some emery cloth. Maybe while I have this off, I'll cover everything and clean it out a little bit. Alright, it's got some spark now. So before I put the carb back on, I'm going to make sure the fuel line and the boat tank are working. So I'm going to go ahead and hook it up, make sure that it pumps fuel. Alright, that works. So we'll put the carb back on. quick connect's still leaking, so I'm just gonna bypass it. Now that it's running, it's time to put it back together. There's only a couple parts to put on here. It does need an air filter and a choke mechanism. The goal was to get it running without spending any cash, so we'll get to that later. For now, I'm going to put all the pieces back on, put the cover on, and we'll put it up and save it for a future project, maybe a plywood boat or something like that, get it out on the water. But like I said, goal was to get it running without spending any money. Then we'll run some stable through it and find a project for it. So let's get started. I did make one quick upgrade and added a Shots Life logo. So that's it for the free boat motor for now. But make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned to see what we do with this. Thanks for watching.
Y'all help me out and like and subscribe to my channel, Shots Life, on YouTube.